So
Welcome.
thank you so much for choosing us. My name is June Elkins-Baker, and I'm a consultant with Evolution Foundation, specifically working with Tough as a Mother. So welcome, and I'll pass it on.
Yes, my name is Tori Collier. I am a project manager and a community consultant with Evolution Foundation.
Hey guys, my name is Emily Burns. I am a peer recovery support specialist and I have been with Evolution for a couple of years now, and I walk alongside other moms that need help with their journey.
Very good. And you are in the Tough as a Mother session, and we're so glad you all are here. So we'll go ahead and get started. So here's some learning objectives. These are things that we hope that you will walk away with. We want you to learn about the importance of incorporating lived experience and community partnerships into your family serving initiatives. And we hope that you'll learn about best practices for family engagement and approaches and principles and lessons learned that can be applied to your work with families who experience substance use disorders. A few more is we hope that you'll be able to adopt and adapt the ideas and approaches and resources and partnerships that we've developed in our initiative and implement them in your own local communities. Throughout this presentation, we'll be focusing on the population of pregnant women who experience substance use and co-occurring disorders, but the values and approaches and principles of employing lived experience and peer support can be applied to any population, any initiative, and to any group. So we hope that what we share will be extremely useful to you and the work that you do. So, Tough as a Mother goals. So this presentation will delve into the Tough as a Mother initiative, and we'll be focused on how our peer navigators have engaged with women who have substance use disorder, and who those women are usually pregnant or have very young children. And our aim as Tough as a Mother ambassadors is we want to help mothers and their families to be able to use community resources and natural supports on their journey to recovery. So we'll talk a little bit about addiction and co-occurring disorders. So addiction is often thought of as, issues impacting, the poor, the impoverished, minority presentations, many other, stereotypical ideals that you may have heard. But really, substance use disorder impacts all socioeconomic levels, all cultural and ethnic backgrounds. And research shows that women experience higher rates of trauma, discrimination, stressful life experiences, and they're more likely to have co-occurring disorders, which simply means having a substance use disorder paired or accompanied by a mental health condition. And this can really complicate treatment and recovery, making it more challenging to treat women. So talk to you a little bit about us. We reside in Oklahoma, and Oklahoma has one of the largest incarceration rates for women in the country. And so this is like a graph from 2020. And back then we were number 2, but before that we were number 1 for many years. And there are many statistical places that said that we were number 1 in the world. We now rank 47th out of 50, which is still very high. So we're number 3. We're not number 1 anymore. But we don't want to be, that's not something that you want to be top 4. Massachusetts is the lowest. They incarcerate at a rate of about 6 women for every 100,000 women per capita. But now Idaho holds that number 1, that 50th in the nation. And they incarcerate about 127 women per 100,000. So we sit right at 106. And so as you can see here on the slide, Oklahoma being one of the highest is often due to our high rate of female incarceration. But the reason is drugs, drug arrest rates. And that's the reason why there's an association between this group as far as women. And women are incarcerated. The cost to incarcerate them is about $30,000 per prison term. And this doesn't include any societal costs such as child placement and foster care and other social benefit programs. Do you ladies have anything you want to add to that?
No, I think you covered it. Emily?
Well, I want to jump on and actually put a number to what Tori was saying. Oklahoma ranked #1 in female incarceration for more than 30 years prior to this graph being made. And I'm not sure if we have the other slide in here or not, but I don't think we do. We in Oklahoma, when we have been the highest, whether we're 3, 2, or 1, our arrest rates for women fall under the categories of substance use. It falls under the categories of child neglect and child endangerment. And what statistics and studies have shown us is that when we dive in, there it is, when we dive in to find out why these mothers are being arrested for child abuse, child neglect, and failure to protect, it all stems back to one thing: their substance use and their mental health issues.
And you know what? And just go back for just a minute. When you look at that, one of the things you realize is that when the charges that the women had uh, was to be able to maintain because of their using and misusing of
Yes.
monies, then the burglaries, the robberies that they did was to enable them to be able to maintain. And so everything just kind of revolved around the fact that these women had issues as far as addiction and abuse, and it was out of control.
And as we get further into our presentation, when we really start getting to the meat of why treatment is so important and why lived experience in treatment is so important, I want you to remember the cost that was listed on our slide at $30,000 plus per prison term to incarcerate one woman. If we took that money, that $30,000 plus, and applied it to a woman's treatment, applied it to what their future could be, I think that would do some amazing things.
And I agree with Emily. It's really amazing. In Oklahoma, we did some amazing things because we, started just like so many other state women specific services to where we had the ability for women to be able to bring their kids into treatment with them, because so many of them didn't have that ability to be able to have someone to be able to watch their kids and be able to grow along with their children as they start making a move toward greater. And we thought that that was really a great thing because we made it specific to women. We had the children there. We were working with them together. But one of the things that we had a missing piece that we didn't know and did not know until Tough as a Mother. And that was, as long as they were in that insulated environment and they were getting the support that they needed, it really worked. But the rubber met the road when they got out. And so many of them didn't have the support. And that's where the lived experience for those individuals have been there and done that, to be able to show them, I was there, but now I'm here and you can do it too.
I was one of those women.
Yes, she was.
Yes. So a few more statistics. We kind of touched on it. Here's the statistic from 2018. Over 1,000 women gave birth in Oklahoma prisons. And when they gave birth, those babies showed evidence of substance withdrawal symptoms. 70% of those women were not connected to treatment after they delivered. And Miss June and Emily talked about that cycle of trauma that happens after these children are removed from the mothers. That in Oklahoma alone, there's over 7,000 children in foster care as of September 2021. Over half of those children had out-of-home placements, and usually it was related to a parent's drug or alcohol use. And over a third of these children that were removed from their home were under a year old. And so these are very small children, and often they don't just have one placement. Usually there are several placements before they are get somewhere steady, which further can amplify the trauma that the child experiences.
And I just want to say this quickly, because of the fact that this is the heart of what we do. This is what we feel like that we have been chosen to do. Please understand that we are probably going to get a little teary And we may even shed some tears. That has not that has everything to do with passion. And so I just want you all aware. If you see me get a Kleenex and dabble my eyes, that's the reason why. This is not something, our heart is in this and we believe in it.
Yes. So we talked about a little bit of the trauma that the children experience when they are removed from the home. Women, when they are pregnant, often have a co-occurring mental health issue. And so here's some statistics about perinatal mental health disorders that are common in women who are pregnant and those women who are postpartum or after they have children. This statistics talks about 10 to 20% of women in the United States experiencing depression, either while they are pregnant or after they give birth. And then another percentage, 8 to 20, experience anxiety as well. And so we hear some more statistics as well, all the way to postpartum psychosis and more about depression and anxiety. So as you can see that when you start pairing mental health, trauma, trying to cope with those with substances and pregnancy, compounding that, you can have a big recipe for, just going the wrong direction.
Mm-hmm.
And Tori, I want to jump in
Yes.
here and reiterate that stigma is a major barrier. When we talk about pregnant parenting people with substance use disorders, people like that often avoid treatment or prenatal care because of fear of judgment, legal consequences, child removal, and the consequences go way beyond women. We're talking about family disruption, children being placed in foster care, health impacts, including pregnant women and newborns, intergenerational trauma.
Absolutely. A little bit more about mental health and women. Studies show that women are 75% more likely than men to report episodes of depression, and 60% more likely to report episodes of anxiety. So women are more likely to suffer from mental health disorders such as depression and anxiety. And oftentimes, to cope with this, as I stated before, that self-medication occurs, and that's how substance use is often introduced.
And
Go ahead.
no, and I was going to say, because I was reading something that Summer said, and yes, ACE plays a huge role, and it's so great that we're able to use ACE in order for us to be able to look at what has been in that individual's life and gives us an idea of where we go from there. So you're absolutely right on that, Summer.
Yes, Summer. And then for those who don't know, adverse childhood experiences is
Yes.
what Summer is referencing. And that when those scores are high with adults, that, usually that can predict outcomes and negative health outcomes that that person will experience as far as the rates of traumatic experiences that they experience when they're a child. But yes, a little bit more about depression and anxiety. They're often the result of, as Summer said, traumatic experiences that can often include domestic violence, sexual assault, other forms of abuse. These are key risk factors for substance misuse. So these stressors, as I said earlier, combined with pregnancy, can increase risk factors that negatively impact health outcomes for the women that we serve. So here's a slide about substance use disorder and kind of how it starts. First of all, the highest area is the highest rate, the highest for women ages 18 to 29 years old. That's during their reproductive years. That's when we usually see the substance use disorder happening. Most often it starts with tobacco, nicotine, then alcohol, marijuana or cannabis, then opioids, then other illicit drugs. Doesn't have to be in this order, but that's what some of the research says of how we kind of go down this road of experimentation. So, what is Tough as a Mother? So,
Woohoo!
Tough as a Mother is a statewide public awareness campaign. We want to get the word out to mothers who are struggling with substance use disorder. The overarching goal of this campaign is to reduce stigma, as Emily said, for mothers who experience substance use disorder, we want to try to connect them to resources, connect them to treatment, to support them, to things like family care plans, which we'll talk about a little more later on, and connect them to treatment service providers in their local area. And we'll talk about a little bit more about stigma as well. So here's a little pie of what Tough as a Mother is. We aim to strengthen families. We want to provide support, as Miss June said, walk alongside this women with these women during their recovery. We want to raise awareness about substance use disorder and the higher incarceration of women that's occurring in our state. And we want to, again, introduce them to resources like family care plans and treatment providers. We want to let them know that substance use disorder is a disease, much like diabetes or any other health condition that needs treatment. We believe that they need treatment, not jail time. And so that is the aim and the focus of this initiative. So how we took on this project in Oklahoma is we started with partnerships. So we are Evolution Foundation. We strengthen community behavioral health coalitions all throughout the state. We're in 70 out of 77 counties in Oklahoma, and we bring together medical service providers, substance use providers, hospitals, clinics, family youth serving agencies, and family and youth, and they all come together to talk about and to create pathways for just better health outcomes for their county. And so we as community consultants go in and try to support those coalitions, and oftentimes we'll help start those coalitions because we believe that change really happens when communities get involved and listen to each other and talk to each other about barriers and challenges that they're having accessing either medical treatment or behavioral health treatment and other resources and supports for families. So that's what we do as Evolution Foundation. But when we really took on this Tough as a Mother campaign, we took those resources and the connections that we had, combined with the Oklahoma community coalitions that we served, under the direction of the Oklahoma Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services, who was our main funder at the state level for this initiative. To pull this off, we had to partner with hospitals, birthing hospitals, all the places that women of childbearing age and women who were giving birth would go. So state agencies like child welfare, health departments, even juvenile justice, as well as family and youth serving organizations, churches, and other social service programs. We would network with them to let them know about this initiative, to get the word about just what Tough as a Mother was and why it's important for them to get involved. From once we really saturated Oklahoma, letting them know what Tough as a Mother was, we then moved to work groups to get together folks that really wanted to create action in their community. They wanted, for instance, there may be communities that are very punitive. They may have judges that just believe that women who harm their babies should be incarcerated. Well, we want to bring them to the table and talk to them about kind of what Emily was talking about the cost of incarcerating women, the trauma cycle that happens with the child, and separating the child, and how recovery is possible by telling them stories of lived experience to try to create systemic change within our counties. And so that's the work that we're doing in Oklahoma under the Tough as a Mother initiative. So really working on that community level to reduce barriers that would prevent women from coming forward and seeking treatment.
And you know what? It's really important to understand that you can remove the child and you can incarcerate the woman, but if you have not dealt with what started their use, if you have not dealt with the issues that propel them to try to change their narrative, then nothing has changed. And 9 times out of 10, that mother will have another child. And so the core thing that we're talking about is how we can help these parents and men too, because we've had some men that we've worked with also. So how can we help them to get to their best self that they're supposed to be? And it's not just about it's about trying to figure out what the problem is and helping them to figure out how to solve it.
Yes. Yes. So now to I believe one of the things that made Evolution Foundation special and unique. I talked about, community consultants, but the other half of our organization was resource peer navigators. And Emily is one of those women pictured here along with Miss June. And these are a group of women who had their own story to tell, their own story of recovery. They walked a mile in the shoes of women that we were trying to serve. And it's unlike any program. It's very unique in that, these women are not case managers. They're women of lived experience that have walked the walk, experienced their own journey of substance use disorder or child separation or incarceration or both, but they've been sober for more than 2 years. They've reunited with their family and their children, and they want to help other women do the same. And so this is the other half of our organization. So I'm going to play a few videos for you so that you can learn a little bit more.
The moment I knew I needed help was when I couldn't get out of bed without using. Whenever you're locked inside the bathroom crying while you're using, trying to figure out a way to leave that lifestyle, and there seems like there's no hope, you're lost. The biggest change in my life, I would say, is how I view the world around me. Depending on the situation you're in, what you're facing, what you're going through, it really does color your glasses on how you view things. And at one point in my life, everything was so incredibly dark and gray. The idea that there is life out there, that there are still good people out there, that there are people that want to see you succeed versus people wanting to see you fail. All of that come to fruition for me mentally whenever I started my recovery journey. If I could say anything to the community, it's don't be so judgmental, because I'm somebody's mama. I'm some daughter. I am 100% certain that my parents didn't dream of their child growing up to be an addict. And
So sorry. I don't know.
we do recover. Recovery is a much more powerful word than anybody that's never been through it could ever realize. My daughter and my son, my daughter doesn't realize that she's my wingless angel. She was my saving grace. And my son, he's my cheerleader. Yes. The road to recovery is not easy. It's not easy. There are going to be lots of tears. There are going to be moments where you're so angry.
Did you say you can't hear it?
Yes, ma'am. The video, her mouth was moving, but we couldn't hear anything. This is the last
Okay.
time you hit click.
I can hear it.
Okay. You could. Okay, very good. I'm just like, oh my gosh. Okay, you guys, hold on one moment.
So some people could hear and some people couldn't.
Well, I was hearing it at the beginning, and then the last click you did, her mouth was moving, but I didn't hear any sound.
Okay, some people could hear. So
Angry with yourself when you come to the realization of the things that you were doing. It's almost like, who was that person? But once you start realizing that change is possible, and you realize that just because that's who you were doesn't mean that's who you have to continue to be.
right.
The dark does turn into light. My name is Emily, and I'm tough as a mother.
It was 2019. I had just gotten my kids back from DHS. I'd moved from Tulsa to Wichita. I had picked up drugs and drinking again. I was drinking every single day with my kids. I was doing methamphetamines and I was smoking marijuana. And I just came to the realization that if I didn't stop, my kids were going to get taken away again, and I was going to be right back to square one, and that I might not get them back the next time. And that was the moment that I knew that I had to change something, anything. I have consistency and stability. I've lived in the same house for 4 years, which is huge for us because before I lived in the house that I am in right now, we moved every 6 months. There was no security. There was no stability whatsoever. There was nothing consistent about my life at all. The sense of security and knowing that it's a real home, it's not just a place that we're going to sleep for a little while, has made them feel safe to the point where they will sleep in the living room. We all slept in the same room for years because they never knew what was going to happen, or they never felt safe. My kids feel safer. To the community that I live in right now, thank you so much. And to my loved ones, my family, thank you for being there for me now and supporting me. My name is Lisa, and I am tough as a mother.
These stories are hard to hear because you know what they've been through, and then you see them on the other side. So it's like Emily said, treatment does work. And what's so amazing is that you have these individuals with lived experience that have the desire to reach back and to pull forward to help people to understand that they are not the same person, that they don't have to live with shame. They don't have to keep their heads bowed, that they have something worthy to pass on. And that to me is tough as a mother.
Yes. So as you can see, oh, go ahead. Yes.
One of the most beautiful things that I have ever done was sit in an alley with a woman who was in the same place that I once was. One of the most beautiful things that I have ever done was I don't want to say the word on here, but take something away from somebody and tell them, you don't need that anymore. Let's go. We're going somewhere.
So you're right, utilizing lived experience is a recovery game changer, and it is. Employing lived experience and peer support has been that game changer, and engaging women who desire to participate in recovery practices and the steps to reunifying with their family. They know that others have done it, and so they're willing to follow. And one of the things that's so amazing about Tough as a Mother, we have no time frame because of the fact that it's not case management or any other health and human service or public health support. Peer navigators are living evidence that recovery is possible, and they know what it's like to be on the other side. It's not what I think, it's what I know. Look at me, I did it.
Yes.
One thing that I tell all of the girls that I work with is sobriety is not the end of the party. It's the VIP section for those of us that's made it out alive.
Yes. Yes.
So it talks about the peer engagement factor. Being supported by a peer makes engagement more comfortable. It's psychologically safe. It's authentic. It's unbiased, and there's no judgment. And the women feel that. Peer resource navigators often offer this support beyond the standard working hours, offering after-hours support. Doesn't matter when you call me, I'm gonna answer. It doesn't matter if you need me, I'm gonna be there. The peer engagement factor, that's so important.
Yes.
Peer navigators do not have the limitations that a lot of health and human services agency employees have. I get off at 5. I don't work Saturday and Sundays. To peers, the women they serve are not just another case or a file to be worked on. Peers see themselves in the women that they are serving, and that makes the support and engagement provided by Evolution Foundation special, and it makes us absolutely unique. So this is what TAM peer resource navigators do? And you all jump in, Emily and Tori. Engagement and resource utilization. They assist families in identifying and utilizing natural supports within their communities and navigating the system to access those essential services. Help them to know within their community, because now they're a part of their community. They're not in the dark. They're in a part of their community. Managing life stressors is another thing that's done. It helps families manage the stress of living life substance free while balancing caring and having a baby, reuniting with their children, dealing with car troubles, managing financial issues, and are balancing multiple responsibilities that they would have never thought that they would have been able to do before.
So I want to jump in here real quick. I believe in exclusive transparency when I'm talking to anybody, including you guys here on Zoom. And so what I'm fixing to say is just to give you a little insight to the rest of what I'm going to say. So as a PRSS, my lived experience is a little more extensive than what I sometimes like to admit. When I was 21 years old, the state of Oklahoma was sending me to prison. And it's really cool now to look and know that when I was 41 years old, they were sending me to DC. And I do a lot of work with our Juvenile Justice Affairs Office through the Evolution Foundation, as well as what I do with our moms with Tough as a Mother. And I say all that to tell you that I have a degree. I have a college degree, but I don't use it. My lived experience, I have a lived experience I have a PhD in lived experience. If that was a real thing, I'd probably have 5, unfortunately. Fortunately, it can go either way, right? But having the experience that I have in all the different things, it allows me to come to these women with empathy and to promote a trusting relationship, a complete judgment-free zone, because, hey, sis, I've been there. I get it. Bringing the real world insight, because a lot of times when we have women who are looking for help, the number one fear is you're going to take my kids and you're going to judge me, right? That doesn't happen with me and the rest of our team. Role modeling and showing that hope, advocacy, and systemic change. Like, we're out here on the pavement with our girls at the Capitol, wherever we can be heard, because we're trying to prove a point. Because I'm going to tell you guys what, if change wasn't real, if treatment didn't work, I wouldn't be on the Zoom with you guys today. For sure.
It's interesting, accessing local supports. It's interesting when we talk about meeting families where they are, we're absolutely talking about meeting them where they are in all their realness and helping them to learn the importance of being able to access local supports and understanding how and when to use them. Because of the fact that we meet them where they are, we help the mothers identify their strength and their natural supports. We empower them to build a strong sense of self-confidence and self-reliance. If you're working with a mother who has had a substance abuse issue and she is still on her feet, she got some strength, let me tell you. And if I can't say anything else about you but this, I can tell you, you here, you made it through. That's a strength all by itself. So we can take that and we can build on that. Helping them to know what natural supports are, like your churches, your family serving organizations, the YMCA, food banks, and other local businesses that assist families in need. Because now they are not outside of the community. They are within their community. They're a part of their community, and they feel viable. This next thing is the family care plan, which I think is probably one of the most important things one of the most, because there are several. Peer navigators collaborate with women to create and build a family care plan, which serves as a recovery resume, and it tracks their process. Having been in residential treatment before, women come in, they don't have their birth certificates, they don't have their kids' birth certificates, they don't have shot records, they don't have any of that. These plans help families become more independent, identifying their own circles of support and less reliant on system support. They build what they need to have, and they have it in one place to where it's readily accessible.
I want to piggyback off of what Miss June is saying. So the family care plan, what makes it such a viable document for our ladies is that it is recognized in all 77 counties in Oklahoma by the court staff. So if mom is going to child court, if mom has a current justice involved case, she can take her family care plan and she can say, look, DA, here's what I'm doing. Here is tangible proof what I'm doing. Or here, judge, let me show you what I'm doing. I have actually been a part of several women's court cases that if they wouldn't have had the family care plan, things maybe would have been a whole lot different for them. So being able to document their progress isn't just good for the court system, but when they're having a moment, if they call me and I can't answer, they can open that book and they can say, dang, look at what I've already done. I can keep going. I can do this.
Yeah, it's amazing, y'all. Crisis and safety planning. Peer navigators partner with women to assist in crisis and safety planning, as well as working on tasks and steps to reunify with their children and families. The crisis and safety planning is so important because, we deal with certain things that may be, situations that may come up. We help them to understand that these things come up, but they don't have to take you out. The importance of peer support. Peers share stories of personal success, illustrating how I did it and how you can do it too. Celebrating small achievements and wins, even in the presence of setbacks, because that's life, y'all. There are going to be setbacks, and then we just keep it moving. And that's what we try to help them to understand, that this that you're going through does not have to wipe you out. System navigation. Peer navigators help women navigate state systems like the health and social services, education, behavioral health, legal, and child welfare. We show them how to do it so that they can be successful in getting through it. And then we process it with them and talk about how great they did and maybe some things that we can change, but it's all about encouragement. One of the things that I want to say, because somebody talked about the other thing that we try to help women to understand is how to make sure you're taking care of yourself. I used to talk about Calgon moments. I don't even think they make Calgon anymore. But you know what? Sometimes, you take care of you once the kids are asleep and you have that bathroom door open, but yet and still you're in that bath water and you're just reflecting on the day and you're just allowing things to come off. You learn how to take care of yourself so that you can be able to take care of your child. You learn who to have in your village so that you know who pours into you, so that when you get depleted, you know that somebody's going to fill you up. Okay, Miss Tori, I turn it back over to you.
Yes, and Emily, I wanted to make sure if you had anything to add, any stories that of you working with women that you want the audience to be able to take
Absolutely.
away.
I have two specific of my ladies that come to mind. Obviously we won't use names. But I have one lady, well, I'm gonna use three if I have time. So one of the very first ladies that I started working with, oh, I swear she bullheaded. She reminded me so much of me. And I think that is what really drove me to make sure that I was doing everything I could on my part. But I also learned a valuable lesson with this, and something that I have had to learn over time is, first of all, I'm not going to be able to save the whole world. The world sometimes has to save itself. And if I want something for somebody more than they want it for themselves, it's never going to work.
Mm-mm.
And so just being that encouraging partner, being the one that says, hey, I get it. Here's what I did, but you're not me and I'm not you. So how can we modify what I did to fit your needs and pull you out of the hole that you're in? Unfortunately, sometimes some of the ladies that I have worked with have found themselves at termination court. They've been going through the system for the last couple of years, and the judge and the DA and everybody's tired of playing. And unfortunately, I have seen end results where there was termination. But, even when there's termination, having to walk after that, having to figure out how to handle that, that's still something that is traumatic, even when you know that these things happen based on your actions. So still walking with the mom, even after that termination court, to ensure her safety, because, there could be a chance your kids are coming to look for you later, sis, and you don't want them to find you where they left you. You know,
Mm.
um, I've had a case where, and this is the only one that I had, and it's always going to get me, but I couldn't get to her in time, and she's no longer with us. Fentanyl is a real crisis. I'm sure that all of us here know that. All illicit substances are a crisis to me. But fentanyl is a real big one right now, because you never know if it's there or not, right? Unless you've got the test strips, and some people are too scared to go get the things that they need to test what they're doing. But I've got more success stories under my belt as a PRSS and as a resource navigator than I have not. And I have seen little kids that are barely walking run to their mom in the courtroom and walk out with their mom. I have seen moms just hold the babies, hug so tight, and look at me and say, I did it. And all I can do is say, yes, sis, you did it.
You did it.
You did it. Being in this field comes with its own set of challenges. It does. And so I highly, highly, highly encourage self-care to all of us that participate in this field. Oklahoma is known for having a lot of rural areas. And I feel like that is where we see the most lack of care in terms of mental health, substance use, and physical. But fortunately, programs like TAM allow us to get into those forgotten cracks. And I would just like to, we'll call it a call to action, if you will. All of you on this Zoom today are very, very capable of starting a lived experience organization. And if you're not already involved with one, just consider it, because people like me, I have a past, but that past allows me to do what I do.
That's great. That's great.
And I just wanted to just kind of wrap us and tell you that this presentation addressed the importance of lived experience, community-based approaches in supporting families with co-occurring disorders and navigating them to resources and supports. And I hope that by these stories that Emily shared, that Miss June shared, that you could get from the slide presentations that we shared, that this can be a powerful way of reaching people and connecting with them in a unique way outside of just only social services and agencies, but having the power and deploying the power of lived experience can just be a game changer in your own community. And we hope that this presentation motivates, empowers, and inspires you to, as Emily said, erect some type of initiative and outreach effort in your own community. And I hope that you've been able to take away some ideas and some lessons learned from our presentation to help go out and reach the communities and families that you serve. We have just like a few minutes, and so if you had any pressing questions that you wanted to ask Miss June, Emily, or I, feel free to post that in the chat, and we will take a moment to see any questions that you may have.
Tori, I was kind of looking at the chat, and forgive me if I mispronounce this wrong, Miss Adrienne McCain posted that packing that suitcase should be your important information, but in difficult situations, you can't sometimes grab those items. How can they make it easier for people to obtain the the more important documents needed is what I think she was trying to say. Um, I do know that they are working on a digital family care plan version so that if they can't access the paper binder, they'll still be able to access it.
And one of the things that I think is so amazing about our navigators, I tell you what, I've been in this field since 1988. That tells you I'm pretty old, okay? But I can honestly tell you that the greatest job I have ever had the opportunity to do was to oversee the navigators. I learned so much from them and the importance of their role. And I'm just so grateful that we have turned a page and we recognize that people are valuable and they have something to give. And this Tam is probably one of the best things that you all will encounter.
Thank you so much. I see all the thank yous in the chat, and we feel the love. And thank you so much. We thank you for coming to our session
Yes.
And for your attention.
Yes.
And like I said, we thank you, and we hope that you have an amazing day. Any closing thoughts?
I'm just so grateful that we got to be here with you guys today and that you guys allowed us to tell you a little part of what's happening in our great state.
Thank you so much for being here, and we appreciate it. And thank you for letting us shed the tears.
Thank
And
you.
know that what we do is from the heart, and we're going to do it regardless.